Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.
It's a new holiday. Oh, so many things have changed, but nothing stays the same. That's what we all know.
Does Meet Me in St. Louis feel a bit too old-timey or maybe just too white for you? Well, if that's you, a brand new St. Louis-made holiday musical may be well worth your time.
We need a new holiday, same traditions in a new way.
A New Holiday tells the story of 10-year-old Thelma as she grapples with the loss of her grandmother. And unlike Meet Me in St. Louis, it was actually filmed right here with an all-star, all-black cast. It's a life-affirming show with a lot of great jazzy arrangements of classic tunes, like this one, sung by Sophia Stevens.
This song, I wasn't really into it, but I sang along. But then I learned that jingle bells could deck the halls just as well. So now it's time to play and jingle all the way with my new jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
And that is from the new musical, A New Holiday. It was filmed in St. Louis, and it debuts tonight on the 9 Network. And joining us today to talk about it is its director and co-screenwriter, Brian Owens. Brian, welcome.
What's up?
So, Brian, we've now talked a couple times. We've
Yes.
talked to you about your work as a soul singer. We've talked about the nonprofit you started. When did you add filmmaker to your list of jobs?
2 months ago?
2 months ago. You turned
No,
this
just
all
one.
around in 2 months?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this whole project, it was a godsend, number one. But the way in which it came together was pretty amazing. And yeah, we basically had about 2.5 months from creation to completion.
Wow. I mean, that's intense. Tell me what brought this together in the first place? What led you to decide, hey, we're going to go make a Christmas movie?
As many things in my life, divine providence, right? So, I did the Soul of Ferguson Review concert film that also was on PBS. And I've had a wonderful relationship with the Stewart family over the last couple of years. So whenever I do things, I try to send them the things that I'm doing so they can kind of see it and enjoy it. And I sent that to Dave Stewart and his assistant, Mary Understall, who's become a great friend. And they watched it, and the idea that they had was, wouldn't it be great to do something like this for Thelma's birthday? Her birthday's around Christmas, Thelma Stewart. And so the idea was, hey, what if we do something like Soul of Ferguson Review for her birthday? Since it's COVID and we can't, do the large gatherings of family and friends. And I don't know what happened, but within 2 weeks that kind of spawned into, let's write a song called God Bless the Day, which is one of the title, in his title songs in the movie. Mm-hmm. And then that spawned into, let's do like an Andy Williams Christmas special, like an old scout kind of thing like that. And that just evolved into, what if we did a film?
This is a lot of evolutions. I think
it's
your
a lot of
brain
evolutions
moves
quickly,
so much more quickly than mine does. But I can follow this, and it makes sense because your protagonist in this story, this is a 10-year-old girl. She's named Thelma. So this is named after the wife of Dave Stewart, who is a prominent executive in this town. Just a great philanthropic guy.
Yes.
So he sort of provided the impetus for this coming together.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great inspiration. Thelma's an amazing woman, and I think that, many of us have, just really had it hard this year, in terms of loss and change. I lost my mom in March to cancer. His mother passed away. The matriarch of the Stewart family passed away, I think, in July. And so all of these things just kind of, came together and really fed the evolution of the story in the project. And it became this wonderful gift, not only in celebration of Thelma, but also a gift to the community. And being able to place it with PBS as a partner. And I'm really excited for people to see it, because it also, to me, is just indicative of the whole Life creative ecosystem and how it functions and what it's about and what's possible.
And when you talk about Life Creative, that's your whole. These are your entities, both the nonprofit and then the art making side of things.
Yeah, and now I'm pleased to announce that I'm no longer the executive director of the nonprofit Life Arts. We had the transition, and my cousin Darius, who was operations, is now in the transition period to become executive director, and so we have the nonprofit for-profit structure of the ecosystem in place, and so this is the first major project that we're putting out where. We've had those two entities in full partnership on something of this level, and it worked out. It's so beautiful because we had so many interns and production assistants that worked on this film that are out of the Life creative ecosystem, and it was such a gift to be able to have them work on something that is, number one, we believe beautifully created, great messaging. And also provided some income in a time of year where a lot of people are really struggling.
And these were paid interns working on this, getting practical experience.
Yes.
You're doing all this during the pandemic. Was that a challenge to try to do that without spreading germs with each other?
I'm gonna be straight up, Sarah. Like, we had an amazing COVID plan that was made by our production manager, Tiffany Stanfield. She did an amazing job. She connected us with, places like CareSDL, that, and a few other folks that, did, screenings for us and did testing for us. But I'll tell you this, we had 2 COVID setbacks during the course of filming. One was an exposure that set us back 1 week, and then the other was a false positive that set us back another week.
And the person didn't even have it. You were told they had it.
Yeah, we were told they have it, and they didn't have it. And so there's a lot of rescheduling. But I tell you, and I say this, and I don't say this flippantly, by the grace of God, we were able to not only get this done, but get it done on time.
That never happens with films, Brian.
Yes. Because the date was already predetermined as to when it would air.
Wow.
So we had to make the December 21st deadline. So...
and you did. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing, and just a great group of people all around. We nobody that was really involved with this outside of our amazing crew that was headed by our DP Adrian Petrosian. Nobody really came to this with a ton of film experience, and what that gave us is, there's a certain level of ignorance that we had and naivete, because it wasn't about us making the film; it was about us telling the narrative and preserving the narrative. And so, because I didn't know we were making a movie until the first day, and I walked in and I saw all the stuff that Adrian had in there, and I'm like, oh, this is like a real film.
Yeah, you were thinking, this is just, we'll film some songs. Like, no, there's scenes here. There's characters.
It was good. It was good. And so, I mean, it was just an honor to be able to work with everybody on this. Kennedy Holmes and, Anita Jackson, Sophia, my girl, who killed it. And
you've got, I mentioned this as an all-star cast. I'm not just talking about Kennedy Holmes, even though she is a big deal St. Louis. And you've also got the great Wynton Marsalis in this. He provides the narration. I actually want to play a clip of him. He's the narrator who sets up the story. Let's listen to this.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and things were not the same for a little girl named Thelma, for whom so many things had changed. Christmas was coming, her favorite time of year, a time full of family, laughter, and cheer. But this season was different for little Thelma, you see, for the one gift she wanted would not fit under the tree. But much to her surprise, the best was yet to come, a Christmas like no other, full of hope, joy, and love.
Dear God, I hope you didn't forget that tomorrow is Christmas. Grandma Dorothy used to say that change is good, but not having her here hasn't felt good at all. That's why I decided to make a different kind of list this year. I would still like a record player and a new dress for the church pageant, but what I want the most is Christmas. That's right. What I really want is for Christmas to feel like Christmas. Can you hear me?
And that is from A New Holiday. That airs tonight at 7 p.m. on the 9 Network. You can also catch it on the Brian Owens Soul YouTube channel. My guest today is Brian Owens, who's the director and co-screenwriter of this film that came together so quickly and somehow landed Wynton Marsalis. How did you do that, Brian?
I'm living by somebody else's favor. So anybody you see in this movie, it ain't because of me. You know, Wynton has a wonderful relationship with the Stewart family, and you know, when it came time to talk about people who would be a part of it, he was a name, and not only just his relationship with the Stewarts, but just his relationship with St. Louis, which he has a wonderful one over the years. And so he drove here from New York, by the way.
Wow.
He drove in from New York, came in, and absolutely killed it. It was such an honor to get to work with him. And I got to mention the other young lady that you just heard in that prayer, which is the star of the show, Miss Riley Adams, who was amazing.
She is so talented.
She's so talented.
And what a beautiful little girl. I mean, I couldn't stop looking at her. Where did you find her? Is she a St. Louisan?
Yeah, she's a St. Louisan. She's a product of the Muni kids and Tally Allen over at the Muni and Kofi Coleman. So shout out to them for all the great work that they're doing in developing the talent. So we had a couple different Muni kids in that in this. Chief among them, Kennedy Holmes and Riley Adams, and she came in so prepared, taking notes in the first session, and just really, really, really astute to be so young. And she took it to another level. I mean, again, I think that God surprised us all in the people who were brought to the table to do this, because none of us had really done anything on this level before. So for it to come out the way that it did, I think is a true testimony to something much bigger than all of us or anybody that was involved.
And I have to ask you about Sophia Stevens. We heard her beautiful voice earlier singing that jazzy version of Jingle Bells. She's also the co-writer on this project. What's her background? Is she more of a performer or more of a screenwriter?
I would say all of the above now. She born and raised in St. Louis. She ended up moving to New York, and she did Lion King on Broadway for a really long time, and then did the touring company. Now she lives in L.A., where she's a working actress and a director in her own right. She has a series that is up for an award right now for webisodes, and she's super talented, super talented. Just indicative of all the talent that we have that comes out of this place. And Sophia really, I'm really the co-writer of this. Sophia really, really wrote this, and especially the dialogue.
That's Sophia.
That's Sophia, and she just did an outstanding job. And keep in mind, we had about not even 2 months to write the dialogue.
Yeah.
The 2 months is inclusive of us actually filming it and getting the music done. So what she was able to accomplish, I think, is pretty phenomenal.
Brian, I know you well enough at this point. After all these conversations we keep having about all your great projects, I know that you always give the glory to God on everything. But I have to imagine that in addition to God on this one, the fact that we're in the middle of this global pandemic, maybe people had more time to participate in a project like this, or were able to just pitch in because things in Hollywood were slower, or people could get here from New York and hop in a car if they had to. Does this feel like a little bit of a blessing? The terrible timing of this terrible year actually worked out for this project.
Well, then if that's the case, I even got to give God the glory for the timing, right? Because none of us could have planned it. I mean, in what other time would I be able to have a Christmas musical that has Wynton Marsalis in it, that has all these amazing, folks from right here in St. Louis, where Sophia could actually come in town and stay for 2 months, where I could get also David Sanborn, who's playing on God Bless the Day, where I could get, B.B. Winans and Karen Clark Sheard to sing Drummer Boy. Just any number of things that you could point to and go, it couldn't have happened it could not have happened outside of that. And then the wonderful generosity of the Stewart Family Foundation to support this and be one of the driving forces. I mean, it could not have happened without God. And I don't know. I'm just so excited for people to see it and experience it because, again, it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year. But I think the dialogue that, Sophia was able to put into the mouths of these characters is something that I think is going to bless people, not only this year, but for many years to come.
Well, yeah, it sounds like this film coming together as quickly as it did. This really is a miracle here. I hope people will tune in tonight at 7 p.m. on the 9 Network. You can find it on the Brian Owens Soul YouTube channel. And Brian Owens, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Time of the year, so much spirit in the air. It's a new holiday. Oh.
And before we move on, I want to say a big thank you. Here's some positivity for the day. And this thank you goes to you for listening to this show. Last Friday, the St. Louis On the Air podcast reached a milestone. That's 1 million downloads for this year. That's about a 240% increase over just 2 years ago. And we want to thank you so much for that.
It's a new holiday, same traditions in a new way.
St. Louis On the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio 90.7 KWMU. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Fensky.
Wonderful time of the year, so much spirit in the air. Feels like a new, we need a new holiday. Ha!
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.